10 random magic cards rated, reviewed, assigned to number, day number 13. Happy Saturday. Hey, happy weekend. You out there? You're driving off to the beach right now? Gonna put your toes in the sand? Gonna have a little umbrella there and you catch some shade, put a towel underneath it, listen to some radio, listen to a little YouTube? You're not doing that at all? You're at work? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Moving on, though. Let's look at the first card of the day. It's Crash of Rhino Beetles. 5 mana, 4 into green for a 5/5 insect with trample. Crash of Rhino Beetles gets +10/+10 as long as you control 10 or more lands. So, a meme of a card. It's actually a reference to Crash of Rhinos from Mirage Block, which was also not a good card, but one that ingratiated itself with a lot of players, and a lot of people have fond memories. We'll get to it one day, but Crash of Rhino Beetles is the better card than Crash of Rhinos by like a good bit. It's fairly easy to get those 10 or more lands. You got a 15/15 trample, and then like, you're going to win, Timmy. It's going to happen. This is it. Still, this isn't actually the most impressive card in the world practically. So I'm just going to give this like a 4 and leave it at that. Actually, no. Remember a few videos ago? It's still about this, guys. I will always remember that we gave Sybil and Spirit a 4 or 4.1 or whatever it was. This is better than that. It's a 4.3 all day. It should actually be a 5. Should it be a 5? Can I chance giving this card a 5? 4.9. I just can't help but love it. I'm sorry, guys. We'll move on, though, to Rune-scarred Demon. 7 mana, 5 and 2 black for a 6/6 demon with flying. When an ETB, search a library for a card, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. You knew what it did. You know what this card does. There's actually a ton of commander setups with this card that presume you have it in your deck. Get infinite combos going and stuff like that. So this is a card people are going to be cooking with in commander for a very long time. A body that tutors, a demonic tutor literally for you, that you can blink or whatever or reanimate. Always, always good. And the body's pretty impressive too. So even though it's a little bit expensive and requires some setups and blah, blah, it replaces itself with the best card in your deck if you can resolve it. So it will always be worth playing a little bit in Commander. So I'm going to give this card like a 6.5. It is good. I think it's safe to say it's a good Magic card. So 6.5, possibly slightly more. Serious. But Grolnok, the Omnivore, up next. This is 4 mana, 2 a green and a blue for a 3/3 legendary Frog. Whenever a Frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a Croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with Croak counters on them. This is about to leave Standard and has been in Standard for 3 years, and still I have to like really read this card every time I read it. Like, what do? You care about frogs? What's going on? It's not very good. Even if you do have a fair number of frogs attacking, it's just not super great. You know, like it does provide a fair amount of card advantage theoretically, but your opponent can just blow it away and then you no longer have the ability to play those cards. So that kind of sucks, you know. I want to like this, and it's probably at least a fun commander to brew around, but I'm not going to give it more than like a 4.2 or something like that. It's just, I like frogs too. I'm like a big fan of frogs. This has a reference to Chubtoad on it, but it's an Ice Age card with the arm hanging out of Chubtoad's mouth. So this is referencing Chubtoad. Again, I should like all of these things about it, and I do, but not enough to give it a real score. You know what I mean? So we'll move on to Forest. We've already hit Forest, I believe, but we're basically going to throw out basic lands. We're going to say they're all 5s. All basic lands are 5s. And throw them out. But if I did have to rate specifically this forest, this is one of my favorite forests of all time, 9.6. But this one does not count for the video, so we'll move on to Kaya the Inexorable. 5 mana, 3 a white and a black for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Kaya. +1, put a ghost form counter on up to 1 target non-token guy. It gains whenever this creature dies or is put into exile. Return it to its owner's hand and create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. For -3, you can exile target non-land permanent. A bit less wordy than the first ability. For -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a legendary spell from your hand or from your graveyard or from among cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. So pretty sweet, considering if you can ultimate this, then Kaya will never die. You can just, if she does somehow die or even go into exile, and you just play her again because you have this emblem. And that's pretty gross. This is actually a neat little commander planeswalker. Exile a non-land permanent is a great ability to just have available on the card. Blow up that thing no matter what it is. Yeah, that's good. But also, this first ability is really good. Like, really, really good. You can actually do it to your opponent's creatures if you want to. But obviously, it's mostly for your creatures. And I love, too, that it cares if the creature's going to exile. It still saves them in case they're exiled. That's kind of a big game in Commander where exile is becoming more and more of a thing. So, I don't know. I do like Kaya. She hasn't seen, or she didn't see, a whole lot of play when she was in Standard. But she's still pretty good to throw down in Commander, depending on how you build your deck. So, I like this. I'm going to give it a 6.59, somewhere in that area. I just think that this is a card you need to try if you haven't yet. But next is Horror of Horrors. This is actually from Legends, 5 mana. Wow. Let's look at the Oracle text. 5 mana, 3 and 2 black for an enchantment. Sacrifice a swamp, regenerate target black creature. Or if you want to go with the original wording, allows caster to sacrifice a swamp to regenerate a target black creature. Templating really helped. Templating is good. Don't let anybody fool you. Templating was necessary, but yeah, sack a swamp, regenerate a black creature is actually very good, is it not? That's not bad at all. I don't want to be sacrificing all my lands or anything like that, but you know, basically free. You can even tap the swamp for mana before you sack it, but yeah, basically free, regenerate whatever creatures I have on the table. That seems okay to me. 5 mana to get out's a lot, and that's undeniable, but still, I definitely think this text box is like worth messing around with, dude. So yeah, I like this. 5.4, man. That's actually, I want to give it a much higher score than that, but I'm trying to keep myself from looking stupid. But, you know, I probably do that like 7 times in every video. Why do I care? Let's move on. It's just kind of what you sign up for as a YouTuber. Detonate up next. This is X and a red for a sorcery. Bury target artifact with casting cost equal to X. Detonate deals X damage to that artifact's controller. So bury is an old term for destroy it. It can't be regenerated. So yeah, this isn't great at sorcery speed, I would say, at all. The only reason this version of it is a whole $1 is it's in the introductory 2-player set, which literally no one owned ever. Actually, my buddy Ryan owned that, so I shouldn't say that, but yeah. Either way, Detonate is probably like a 1.5 or something like that, so not incredible. I guess it could blow up Moxen for a single mana back in the day. You got to give it some credit, right? Command Tower. Ooh, Command Tower. This one from the Warhammer set. You know what it does? A land, you can tap it for a mana of anything in your commander's color identity. So whatever commander deck this is in, it basically taps for a mana of any color. More or less. So, stupid magic card. 9.9. I'm not going to give this a 10, but specifically considering this is a casual commander critique sort of channel exercise, then yeah, I probably should just give this a straight up 10, honestly. I really should. This is in every single commander deck ever, or at least should be. Yeah, maybe you're playing colorless commander, you don't really care, but I still think you probably still just put it in your deck most of the time, just because, you know. So yeah, 10? Sure. Command Tower's a 10. Luck Bobblehead is 3 mana for an artifact, which is also a bobblehead. You can tap it for a mana of any color, or you can pay 1, tap it, and roll X 6-sided dice, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Create a tap treasure token for each even result. If you rolled 6 exactly 7 times, you win the game. So you have to have 7 bobbleheads at least, and you have to Yahtzee. So that's not going to happen. It does only cost 1. So you can like use ways of untapping it or something and then do it again, you know, like re-roll it literally. This is cute and all, and if nothing else, it's a 3 mana rock that produces a mana of any color. So like there's a baseline to it. So it can't be like a 1, you know what I mean? But you really have to have like a bunch of bobbleheads to even get like a number of treasure that matters. Also, you're creating tap treasure, which is really dumb. It's so dumb that you're creating tap treasure by doing this, but still, I will give this like a 3.8. I don't think it's very good, but I don't think it's like the worst card ever, you know. But we'll move on to Etali, Primal Storm. This is the final card of the day. 6 mana, 4 and 2 red for a 6/6 legendary Elder Dino. And whenever it attacks, you exile the top card of each player's library, and you can cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. That's pretty good. You know, just has to attack and doesn't have haste. But this used to be a relatively often played Commander. Not all the time, but, people cared about it for a minute there. But altogether, I just have not seen this card in a very long time. Like, I haven't seen it out in the wild in a good long time. But it still has this ridiculous text box. Like, you get in one attack step with it, and it just, like, has this massive effect on the game, but doesn't win the game, right? In and of itself. And honestly, it just has a huge target on its back if it is your commander. So, I don't know. I got problems with it, but has a Deece commander with a ridiculous text box. Like, when the ability does pop off, it's backbreaking. I'm going to give this, like, a 5.4. Because I still think that it is somewhat playable in that environment. Again, if you're like doing the thing right, But that is all the cards for today, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. We had some bangers today and some not so bangers, but that's the best thing about this series. We also got to discover a couple of new cards, or at least I did. I'd never seen that luck bobblehead before, and that's one of the things I find myself really enjoying about this series so far, is like discovering new cards myself as a 30-year Magic player. But anyway, I've waxed poetic for long enough. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.